Hey, everybody. It's the waitingfornextyear.com podcast. I'm your host, Craig Lindell. Josh Paloha's with me. We are part of the Evergreen Podcast Network. We are live on all kinds of social media things. You might be hearing this on our podcast feed. Thank you so much for subscribing. In what is a absolute shocking thing. I don't even know why we went live. I don't know why we turned this thing on. I'm not sure what to say at this point. We've written how many articles on Waiting for Next Year in the last couple of days, basically talking about the Baker Mayfield and all those kinds of things, because the Deshaun Watson thing was dead. The Browns had reportedly been informed that they were out of the running and they weren't going to get him. And now, in a stunning move, Adam Schefter, I refreshed it 17 times to make sure it was the real Adam Schefter, says that Deshaun Watson has chosen the Cleveland Browns. They are finalizing a trade with the Houston Texans, 3 first-round picks, 2 other picks, no players, and seems like Baker Mayfield will probably get his wish. He'll probably get his trade, and the Browns have maybe the most polarizing player in the history of the team that they have paid more for than anybody else in the history of the team. Josh, do you have any initial reactions? Anything to add to my little summary there?
Football wise, I love it. You can't really go wrong without it. Not football wise, I'm not sure how to feel, how to react. I mean, sports are weird. When teams win, like the majority of the fans seem to put anything that's off the field wise, they just don't really care about. I guess don't really care about, but they forget about it. But like then we're reminded, like, let's be honest. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger for years now, Browns fans have been not making fun of Steelers fans, but just like that was an easy way to knock on the Steelers was for having Ben Roethlisberger as their quarterback. We all know his past from when he was a student at Miami, Ohio University. I like it. I don't know. I don't know how to. You're right. I don't know why we had to do this emergency podcast, but like it just feels.
Yeah, I mean, weird. It's really easy if it's all about football. If this is all about football, we can all celebrate together. We can all be happy because the Cleveland Browns got better today. But the fact is that until we know kind of what's next and the work that the Browns and Deshaun Watson are going to do, and for some people, there's no amount of work that they can do that will convince people that he either made a mistake or he's wrongly accused, or I have no idea. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm just curious. I don't know what their next tactic is going to be. I just know that they need one. Like, this is a crisis management situation. It's not just about football. If it was just about football, it would be super simple and everybody I know would be happy. But some of the people that I respect most, that I've been following most closely over the years and who I respect most, who follow the Browns and are fans of the Browns, hate this move. And many of them, I don't think would come around to feel differently about it for any reason whatsoever. Some have said that this means they're done with the team. And I would never put somebody at their word and call them a liar on that. And if I don't know if they'll change their minds, I don't know. I just don't know how this plays out. I'll admit, like, initially when Deshaun Watson became available, the football prospects seemed too good to believe. I was interested. I thought a lot about it. As I've seen everybody else reacting over the last few days, it's actually gotten harder and harder. Mostly because we don't know how this plays out. We don't know how we're going to feel about him 6 months from now, a year from now, 18 months from now. And we don't know if he can do anything to make us feel better about him.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up perfectly. I know Ken Carman a few nights ago on that video clip that went viral on Twitter in Cleveland on his Fox 8. I forget what, there was like a specific segment that he just summed it up perfectly. And Andrew said it in our Discord. I love this trade from a football perspective, but I hate it from a human perspective. And I mean, it's not wrong. I just, like, from a football side, this is by far the best Browns quarterback that has, the best quarterback for the Browns since maybe forever. I mean, maybe not forever, but definitely absolute since 1999. So from a football side, it's so easy to see it, but like, I don't know. I'm trying to love. It's just hard to put past the legal issues when we're talking football.
Well, and we're going to bring Joe Gilbert in here in a second, but maybe the most Browns thing about this is that it's undoubtedly the greatest, maybe the greatest player acquisition or at the most important position in sports, and somehow we still can't feel good about it. Maybe that's the most Browns thing ever. Here comes Joe Gilbert.
And we're doomed, by the way. What you said, we're freaking doomed. We can't. Oh, wow. That is way too big of a version of me.
All right. What's up, Joe?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Wait,
good. So I mean, before you jumped on, Josh is going. He doesn't like the big size, but I put it back.
Come on.
No. So before you logged on, what we were talking about was how if this was just about football, it would be easy. It's undoubtedly a great thing, but it's not that simple, and so it's really hard to figure out kind of what the world looks like 6 months from now that might make us feel better about it from the human side. Is there anything? It's hard. Do you have any idea what you feel like the game plan is going to be for the Browns to try and rectify his image and justify this move to the people who hate it?
Yeah, that's the biggest question. It's gonna be, that's where the work is gonna be. The work was getting it done and all that, but the real work is right now. Like, they have to answer so many questions, both Watson and the Browns. Just all this off-field stuff. I was torn. Yeah, I wrote earlier today, I'm still torn. Like, I'm excited on field, but off the field, it's just, there's a lot of questions they got to answer, and it's going to start from day one. I'm assuming that I agree with somebody who wrote on Twitter that they can't just put D Haslam out there. They got to put everybody out there, all the top brass. They have to answer these questions, and I would assume they would maybe reach out to some women's groups around here, but it's going to take work. It's not going to be cleaned up after just trading for him. There's a lot of work to do.
Well, and that's one of the interesting things too, is because like in any other scenario, working with women's groups and working with nonprofits would be looked at as a good thing. But when there's so much money and so much on the line and so much benefit for him to gain image-wise, so much that he's got to make up for, it's hard to think about it in anything other than a cynical way. It's going to be the most delicate dance we've ever seen. I don't know if it's even possible. And it's certainly not going to be possible for some people to get past this. And maybe it shouldn't be. I don't know. It's so difficult to talk about. And that's the theme of the podcast. We could probably say that over and over and over again. He's had an entire year off. But he was paid all last year, so that wasn't suspension. Presumably, once they determine his eligibility, there will be some kind of a suspension, you'd think. We've seen it speculated that it could be longer than many of the acquiring teams were thinking, due to the sheer magnitude of the number of accusers. And he hasn't settled any of those cases yet. So there's so many things in the air. Yeah. So this is the next thing I'd like to ask you guys about, because what does this do to your perception? I won't ask about the Haslams, because we all have kind of weird and differing perspectives that's been shaded and colored in a long time over the last few years. But all things considered, we've had kind of a love affair with Andrew Berry. And so what does this do to your thoughts about Andrew Berry and who he is, that he would kind of go past some of these human things to make this football move? Josh, I'll let you go first.
Man, I mean, he's a football GM. In order to keep his job, he has to have a winning football team, or else he wouldn't have a job. So, I mean, if he's a smart man, he graduated from Harvard, like you said. Football, like we said earlier, football side of things, he gave up 3 first-round picks and 2 later picks for one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. No players. I mean, I thought it would be at least Greg Newsome or Denzel Ward. But the fact, like from the football side of things, an absolutely great trade. I mean, 3 first-round picks is a lot. I know he would 5 years, $230 million extension, all of it guaranteed. That's a lot. But the fact that he didn't give up any players, that's great. But I don't know. I feel like if I'm Andrew Berry, I know that I need to have a winning football team in Cleveland in order to keep my job, and I'm going to do anything possible in order to keep it.
All right, before you go, Joe, I got to just say, always count on my buddy Anthony Lima to have a good joke. We got any money left for Odell? That would be hilarious. All right.
Speaking of,
that's
a side note.
Levity, that's the kind of levity we need right now.
It is. Lima, Joe. I'm surprised Zach Jackson hasn't had. But before Joe goes, another side note, Jadeveon Clowney, I know, already posted on Instagram about Deshaun Watson. And I don't think it's ironic that, or I don't think it's a coincidence that the Jadeveon Clowney 2-year, $24 million extension leaked just before the Deshaun Watson news took place. But Joe, it's all you.
Yeah. Well, the real question is, do they have any money after this? Because I think the whole contract is guaranteed, which is just
it is
unheard of.
Hey, Joe, before you keep going, I had it in the post here. Let me read what it is for the people who haven't seen it yet. Every dollar of Deshaun Watson's new 5-year, $230 million deal is guaranteed.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
It's $184 million over the first 4 years. It's a $48 million raise over the $136 he was scheduled to make over the same 4 years in the previous contract.
And it looks like we also have the official. So it's 3 first-rounders, a 3rd rounder, and then it's actually a late round pick swap. It's a 4th for a 5th. So
yeah, I mean, all things considered, the price on the trade, if the player was pristine off the field and it was just a number 1 quarterback, I think we would all give that up 10 times out of 10.
That's highway robbery.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I thought there would a player be involved.
To bring some jokes into this, what are Browns fans going to do until the NFL draft? Mock drafts don't mean anything anymore. What is it going to be, like a 4th round mock draft?
I lost my headset. You guys got to go.
We have a 2nd rounder, bro.
Second rounder. Okay. I can't wait for those mock drafts that have 2nd round picks. 45 picks happened before this, but let's see who the Browns are going to pick.
But yeah, going back to what you guys was talking about with Barry, it's gonna be interesting because he has to shift. One of his big, him and Stefanski's big tagline was smart, accountable, tough. I don't know how you can do that right now. Like, how is that accountable? It's gonna be a tightrope, and I agree with you, Josh, that it's his job and he has to do, like, his job is to get the best players, and he did that today. But it's still going to be a tight wire act, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do this, because there's going to be I know there's people that say, "Oh, I'm done with the Browns" a lot, but I think there'll be some people that actually say they're done with the Browns and actually do it this time. So
yes,
it's gonna be a tough one.
I agree.
Yeah, they have a lot of work to do. It's gonna be. They thought just getting him is gonna be tough. The hardest part is getting this to go over and kind of mend the fences, and it's gonna be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I mean, getting him. I would love to hear. I will never hear it. The Browns pitch. Was it the money? Was it the money that was offered? Was it the fact that out of New Orleans, Atlanta, and the Browns are probably the most fit team to, I mean, I don't want to mention the Super Bowl, but probably the best team of them all if Deshaun Watson was to join it, especially without giving up anyone. I mean, New Orleans is in cap hell, to be honest. And then Atlanta, I mean, Atlanta literally has no one. The only thing that Atlanta had to offer was, hey, come home. That could have been it. And Andrew Berry. So when the Browns were out of it, and I'm putting that in quotes now because they obviously weren't, and the recruiting never stopped, I guess. But everyone said, I hope Andrew Berry and the front office has a plan B. Well, now I hope Andrew Berry and the front office has a plan A through Z for these press conferences coming up, because they are going to be tough.
They got their PR group, and they're going to have to huddle down right now, and they have to set up a plan to get this get this ship righted. Like people after a normal trade like this, people would just be going bananas. It's not like that, and they gotta pitch this and they gotta do it right because it could turn a little bit. It can get ugly if they don't watch out.
Yeah. Here's an example.
Yeah.
I mean and I only post that to say like it's everywhere. It's on all the social channels. I don't think, I'm the first one to say, oh, this is just a Twitter thing. It doesn't exist in real life, but this is not just a Twitter thing. This exists outside of the internet and off of the social media sites. So yeah, I don't even want to say what's next because there's no way to know.
Right. Like, how do they announce this? That's like they can't. Can they really tweet out like we got
LFG,
them,
baby,
like,
LFG.
right? Like, I really don't think you could do that. I think it might have to be just like one of those basic. We've acquired the guy or something like that. It's gonna be an interesting way to watch it. And the official one. So the Browns only traded one pick from this draft. All the other ones are for future draft picks. So it's just a question on what they're going to do this year. So they still have a lot of ammo on that. But yeah, it's going to be this is probably the most unique trades in NFL history. Like, how can you not getting a player like this, but then it's with all this background, it's weird, interesting to see how they handle it.
All right, so let's talk about this. The sports betting angle, the odds.
No one does that, Craig.
I
Come
know.
on.
So for the AFC, the Browns went from plus 1,800 to plus 700. For the division, they've gone plus 275 to plus 140. And outright, I guess this is outright Super Bowl win. They were plus 3,300. They're down to plus 1,400 to win the Super Bowl.
So basically cut in half in every single in all three of them.
Well, and I hate to be cynical about it. But regardless of who's playing quarterback for this team, if that team does win a Super Bowl, like, the town's going to celebrate. We're going to have a parade. It's right. You're just going to have to hold your nose with this one player. And let's be honest, when you watch an NFL team, and they cut down to 53-man roster and including the people who sub in and out during the year, let's say it's like 65 players a year. You can't morally stand behind all 65 of those guys every year, right, let alone everybody in the coaching staff, ownership. There's a lot of nose holding that we do to support kind of a municipal thing, like a sports team. It's not about any one player. It's about us who can high five in the stands and everything else. I've never seen it put to the test like this before. I'm sorry. I should have ended in a question and directed at somebody. I'm kind of rusty on the whole podcast.
If this wasn't a video, I'd be like, Craig, are you going to continue?
Yeah, no. I used to be just like a machine, but I'm a little rusty, a little off my game.
I'm so glad you're hosting this, by the way, because you do a lot better job than me, especially during a tough conversation like this. But yeah, I continue to say, football side, I'm ecstatic. Human perspective side, it's very questionable.
It's conflicted, right? Yeah, you're conflicted. I don't know. I said it earlier in the roundtable we did. I felt relief when they were kind of ruled out of it. Now I'm just back to being torn and conflicted. And
well, and that's I decided to kind of come out of retirement and write that today about Baker and everything. And I said, I hope what the Browns learn coming out of this is that they need to they need to learn from all the mistakes that have been made since 1999, let alone all the mistakes that have been made since Jimmy Haslam took over ownership. And they need to embrace that stability and that continuity, because whatever you think about Baker Mayfield right now and today, He is not, they never maximized the asset. They wasted his first 2 years. They put him behind the 8 ball, and Baker makes a lot of his own problems. He's his own worst enemy. But there's no doubt in my mind that they absolutely did not maximize their asset in the number 1 overall pick, Baker Mayfield, over the course of his 4 years here. They did not do that. And now that all seems kind of moot. But yeah, we'll just have to see. Certainly this feels like today it feels like it's a move for stability for guys like Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, because Deshaun Watson is a very good player. But if they can't figure out how to rectify his image or make people okay with his image, I don't want to say rectify his image, but like make people okay with it, maybe this could be their fastest ticket out. Maybe the only way to erase the stain of this horrible mistake, depending on how it goes, is to clean house one more time.
A tradition unlike any other, right? Yeah. But I don't know why I just compared this. It's two completely different situations. But when LeBron came back in 2014, everyone was ecstatic. Yes, he was a free agent, so they didn't give up anything. The Cavs didn't give up anything for him. But everyone was ecstatic. No one was like, "Oh no, screw that guy," because they were ecstatic because it legitimately put the Cavs back in NBA title contention immediately. I feel like this is literally the biggest Browns trade in the history of the Browns, one of the biggest, obviously. It probably puts them back in Super Bowl talk, and I'm excited, but I'm not even close to being as excited as I was when LeBron came back, just because of it's so tough to look past the off the field stuff. I don't care if he goes out and wins the Super Bowl. I'll probably forget about it at the time, but there will always be an asterisk next to how the Browns got to this point.
Okay. You guys want to?
Is that my comment?
Is it the Trevor? Is it the Trevor Bauer?
You guys want to lose your minds?
Yeah.
Oh,
God. I saw that.
You know those arguments you have around a table of friends, and your one friend who you wish was not on your side jumps on your side, and you're like, "Oh, I thought I had a good point, but now."
Exactly.
No. Well, anyway, Trevor Bauer says, "Congrats to Deshaun Watson on the new contract, ! Can't wait to watch you play again. Happy to see the NFL and their franchises are allowing you to continue your career after all the BS and lies you've been through recently. Onward and upward. The game is more fun with you in it." So I'm glad that
he
Trevor
definitely is not subtweeting anyone when he says that.
I'm glad that Trevor Bauer knows that it's all BS and lies that Deshaun Watson has been through. That's not out on a limb that's going to come back to haunt him at all. But this is what we get. This is what we get when our team makes a move like this. Yeah. I thought Trevor Bauer was out of our lives for good. Didn't you, Joe?
I did. I wish we did, but yeah, that was not. It's a great analogy. You don't want that guy on your side. It's not a good sign.
You know who is happy today? Who couldn't be happier? Lamar Jackson. $230 million on a 5-year deal, and there's a former MVP sitting out there in search of a new deal. Does that mean he gets like $235 million? Is this the new ceiling? And Lamar gets to use it as a bargaining chip.
And then Patrick Mahomes is going to ask for more money somehow.
Yeah.
I thought Patrick Mahomes had all the money.
No, so,
he still has a crappy brother though. But come on,
that's true. I just saw a tweet from Jake Trouter. He has the most guaranteed money ever. Deshaun Watson's 230. The next one is Aaron Rodgers at 150. It's like this contract just blows every single other one out of the water.
I wonder how those negotiations went. I wonder if it was like, hey, we'll give you 500 or 5 years, 230 million, 130 guaranteed, and Deshaun was like, no, 230 million guaranteed, and the Browns were like, all right, deal.
I bet they just offered it. I bet they just offered it all. Yeah. They didn't want to. Once they sat across from him and they decided they wanted to make a run at him and they wanted him, The one thing you can say about Jimmy Haslam is he's not gonna leave any doubt that he offered the max of what he could offer. He wasn't gonna miss out because he was trying to save a buck or two. Now the real question is what was it about that conversation where they sat down with Deshaun Watson and his representation that led them to take that next step and want him on their team that gave them comfort? And will the same things give us comfort? Remains to be seen.
Yeah. And before we go on, I feel like the Browns probably didn't offer that full guaranteed, but then ever since they were out of the race, maybe that was the deal breaker. Maybe that was the, hey, Deshaun, we will literally not only give you this contract, but it'll be fully guaranteed. And he was like, oh, okay, then I'll listen to you guys again. I'm just surprised that nothing got leaked literally from the time that the Browns were supposedly out of the race until Deshaun picked Cleveland. That's amazing. With everything that's been leaked by so many different sources.
I do have to say, it was very quiet today. Like yesterday, there was leaks all like every couple hours or so. Like we heard stuff in the morning today, but then we didn't hear anything until this dropped. So if add another person to people that you don't want on their side is Antonio Brown just said he wants to be on the Browns.
Great.
So just post picking up winners here.
And I see Jarvis Landry's trending as well.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's one thing you can say for sure, though. Whether or not fans embrace Deshaun Watson or buy his story, whatever it may be, there are going to be a lot of players that are already in support of him, that are already going to root for him, that want to come play with him. And that's going to make it even more conflicting for us as Browns fans. Like if all of a sudden Jarvis Landry, Cleveland Browns legend, decides that, okay, well, I do want to come back. I'm going to come back for less than that 16 million. I want to be part of this and I can come in and help. I'm going to be really happy about that because I love Jarvis Landry.
Right.
But the reason why he's doing it, I may not love. And so this impacts everything. This is a domino that hits every other domino that is going to fall over the next 5 years or however long Deshaun Watson stays in Cleveland. It's impossible to isolate. It's impossible to isolate this move from anything else the Browns do. I can't think of a single move other than the team selling that has ever been like this. Can you, Josh? He's still
and I forgot to unmute myself. The letter M should unmute me. I was on another page. It's an unmute me. Sorry, guys. No, I don't know what. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, that
was a really weird to just say no. I just took like 5-10 seconds to say no, but no.
Yeah, this is the most unique trade ever. I can't think of anything close to this.
All right. Well, we're almost at 30 minutes. We could probably extend if we really felt like it, but I don't think we really need to. So let's any final thoughts?
Go ahead, Josh.
You go first, Joe.
Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, I tweeted it right after the work starts now. They gotta get this right. They gotta everything. The next few steps everything's got to be right. They gotta make the right choice of words. They gotta reach out to the right people. They gotta mend the fences here, and it's gonna be a tough spot for them. But hey, they made the trade, and they put themselves into it, so they gotta figure it out.
Josh,
and I'll go along with that. They not only knew what they were putting themselves into by talking to Deshaun Watson, whether it had to do with Browns fans or Baker Mayfield. We saw what happened to Baker. We won't get into that because we all know. I feel like they have to know what's coming or what has already come since the trade has been distressed and now finalized. I just hope that they did their research. They're a lot smarter than we all are, but still, like we said from minute one of this podcast, football side of things, love this trade. Absolutely love it. Only giving up 5 picks, 3 first-rounders, no players. Didn't have to give up Greg Newsome, Denzel Ward, anyone. Human perspective side, human side of things off the ball. It's a question mark that will always just be in the back of my mind. When I'm watching the Browns game, Deshaun Watson could literally throw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns and beat the Steelers in the AFC Championship game. But in the back of my mind, I'll always have Deshaun Watson off the field. And it's weird. It's a weird type of fan perspective. It's a weird place for a fan to be, put it that way.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead, Joe.
And we always talked about how did Pittsburgh do it with all those years. We're in the same freaking position now. We have to figure it out. It's going to be interesting.
I'll take the last word. I'll admit that earlier on in the week, I was more excited about the prospect of Deshaun Watson playing for the Browns. I took the emotion out of it, which has been a theme for me today and writing about Baker Mayfield and everything else. And I would just, from a practical standpoint, I'm going, okay, the guy did something bad or presumably did something bad. He's going to play again in the NFL someday. He's going to be eligible to play someday again in the NFL. Why not for the Browns? If I'm gonna find a way to watch the league at all, I'll just assume that he'll find a way to make up for it, and it might as well be for the Browns. But over the course of this week, and after reading so many different perspectives and different perspectives from people who I trust and love, it's been a lot harder than I thought. And when the news was actually announced and I was actually faced with the prospect of justifying Deshaun Watson as a member of the Cleveland Browns, it was really, really hard. When I assumed it was dead and I was writing that article about Baker Mayfield earlier today, there was a lot of relief. There was a lot of relief in being able to write about it in that perspective and not having to grapple with it as a human being. But here we are, and I don't have the answers. You guys don't have the answers. Nobody expects us to have them. We need to watch and see what happens. We need to figure it out as we go. We will be here covering it for you as we always are. We will tell you when we get things wrong. I'll tell you that, I thought that I was ready for this. I thought I was okay with it. Turns out it's really hard. It's really hard. And I'm not, it wasn't as easy, and I'm not as cold, calculated killer that I thought I was. It's really hard. So, that's it for us. We thank you so much for watching, listening, subscribing. Waitingfornextyear.com is a passion for all of us. We thank you so much. We're part of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll talk to you next time. It's been the waitingfornextyear.com podcast.